Hi, folks. I guess I'm back again. All right. Oh, that blue circle is still going around. So I am going to reintroduce myself when it stops. There we go. All right. Yet again. Hello, you beautiful light beams. Some of you were with me for the last half hour, and perhaps more of you are joining, or different ones of you are joining. My name is Judith Corbin Blackburn. I'm an author, a teacher, and I've been a transpersonal psychotherapist for almost 50 years. Um, and I am, well, a couple of things. Let's see. I already said this on the last half hour, but I will say Facebook Live is an interesting way to teach because I can't see you and I'm too involved teaching to really look at the comments, although please put them on. Then I'll know someone is there. Um, but it's such an opportunity, and I'm so passionate and excited to be able to talk about and perhaps help you visualize our fifth dimensional planet. Because the attributes of the fifth dimension are unconditional love of self and others, unbridled creativity, unity consciousness. We know we are all one, we are all interconnected. If I'm joyful, I can spread that joy to you. I am also connected to your pain, not in a way that pulls me down, but in a way that I understand every part of you is part of me, and vice versa. That also says that the more we activate our inner peace, the more we tune in and expand our hearts and allow ourselves to live from our hearts, the more that helps shift our very much in need planet to this higher frequency. More and more people are waking up, which is wonderful. And perhaps part of my passion here is that what I know, and many of you know this as well, is that thought creates. Okay, and I can explain this to you through a multidimensional theory. I talk about it in my book, Activating Your, it's crooked, your 5D frequency, which I'm going to read you a little bit of today. But you don't have to know how it's done. You just have to feel that this is what happens. The more of us that can visualize this beautiful, peaceful, loving, just, abundant planet, the closer we bring to creating it all around us. For years, way before I started teaching multidimensionality, although I was teaching spiritual awareness kinds of things, I was really disturbed about all these dystopian things that were being put in on the airwaves and into movies. Because, again, the more of us that hold loving, beautiful thoughts of what we want to create, the more likely we get to see that as we step out our door. We'll see it anyway if you're there inside. But we want more and more people to be able to experience that. The more we send out images of pain and suffering, the more we can create that as well. So I am really committed. How's that? I am really committed to helping you create your beautiful images of what a fifth dimensional planet, what fifth dimensional living really is, what this planet would look like. And I will share my images with you. Part of it is for us to remember, because every one of you here right now has lived in the fifth dimension many, many eons ago, many, many lifetimes ago. But it is still encoded in your DNA, which is what I spoke about the last half hour. Maybe not as articulately, I wish I had said that. So, let me recenter here for a moment. We remember it. We may not consciously remember it, but we can pull it up from our psyches. I can get images of Atlantis, and many of you were probably there with me. Atlantis at its peak. Atlantis went through a lot of different incarnations, if you will, and some of them were not very pretty. But I remember the Crystal City. and where it was all created from sacred geometry, which is actually what everything in the world is created from. But again, when it's in harmony, it creates great beauty. And the crystal cities of Atlantis reflected that great beauty, and the consciousness of the people reflected that. And that's just a little piece of an image that I believe we are going to recreate anew. We're going to recreate it differently. We're actually perhaps coming through this last period of, whether it's 12,000 years or 20,000 years of trauma on this planet, and what I would call dimensional descent. It dawned on me when I was teaching a multidimensional class some years ago that actually the story of the biblical fall was actually talking about the dimensional descent. We were fifth dimensional beings, humans. It's in the Bible, not that I'm a big fan in general, frankly, but there's of course wisdom and truth within there. And the parable of the story, the Garden of Eden, is the true story of the dimensional descent. However, that was the way the patriarchy came in as we went down into 3D, as we lost our fifth dimensional frequency, and we threw the goddess out. And then we blamed Eve for it. Okay, that's not my story. But the part about the dimensional descent is important. And now we're at a period of time where we're ascending. We are rising up, we are waking up, we are activating that DNA, and we are activating that fifth dimensional frequency. And as we do that, we have to clear a lot within ourselves. And again, I speak a lot about this in my book, How to Navigate Through 4D, including that. But as we more and more activate this in ourselves and we see it reflected in our outer life, the more it begins to spread around the planet. And so today, what I want to do is just share some of my imagery about this. And I want you to build your own imagery as well. What kind of planet? One of the things I talk about in the book, the planet we all deserve to live on. The insanity and cruelty and violence that we've had in this old planet, it makes no sense. This is ridiculous. It's time to just let all that stuff go. Let's create what we really want. Let's create what we really deserve, which again is that harmony and that abundance and that joy. Okay, so, the time is going slower. It went fast last time. Let's see if there's anything I want to say more before I read to you a little bit. I think I'm just going to jump into this. So, this is actually at the end of the book. And I don't know, for those of you who are writers out there, you know that there's or any kind of creators, okay, any art form, any creative expression, whether it could be a garden, it doesn't, it may not be called art, but it is art when it comes through our creativity, there's magic that happens, right? It's like, okay, so when I write, I sit down and I think, well, maybe I'll start writing this, and then all of a sudden something is writing itself. That's true for great paintings. That's true for, again, great art, dance, music, whatever you're drawn to. When creativity moves through, we actually are moving the divinity through us, our guides, our higher self, and it takes over. And so in writing this book, that happened to me obviously a lot. And it happens pretty much, I think, to pretty much any writer, unless maybe technical writing, not so much, but any writing that has spirit in it, okay, there's magic. So, let's see, I lost my place. So the first thing I'm going to read is Living in a Heart-Based World, because one of the primary characteristics, of course, of fifth dimensional consciousness is love, coming from the heart. When I was younger, you would hear, use your head. People don't say that much anymore. It's much more, let your heart speak. What's your heart telling you? So that's part of our waking up. And it's obviously a really essential part. Because when we fully can love ourselves unconditionally, we cannot harm another. And we can fully love others. Okay, so living in a heart-based world. This is not a meditation per se, but you might want to take some deep centering breath. Just kind of let your breath bring you into a state of openness and relaxation. I'm going to start out with a few questions and just notice what pops up for you, ideally without judgment. When we're in our fifth dimensional frequency, judgment is gone. We've let it go. It'll come back when we're not, but in 5D, it's not there. So, again, focusing on that breath, allowing yourself to feel relaxed. Are you ready to accept the multitude of blessings that are waiting to be allowed into your life? Are you ready to let go of the need to suffer? To let go of all struggle? Are you ready to love yourself fully, unconditionally, passionately? Are you open to heal and release any old wounds of feeling unworthy and or unlovable? Are you prepared to feel the magnificence and joy of living in a heart-based world? Imagine what it would be like to have every human you meet emanate love and compassion and a deep sense of well-being. Imagine every human on the planet having great compassion, first for themselves and then for all others. Even in our higher frequency, we'll still be navigating polarity as we live in human form on planet Earth. But when emotional energy arises in our new world, imagine it being processed through love and acceptance, and never doing harm to another or to oneself. In this state of well-being, deep creativity is unleashed, and through the use of writing, art, theater, and music, all contradictory emotions that might arise from our 3D and 4D consciousness become easily integrated. In this new world, every child will be born peacefully, surrounded by love and joy. Each child will grow up in a secure home, headed by healthy, conscious, relaxed, grounded, competent, loving adults who see and honor the spirit of this child. All these homes will be in communities of other conscious, loving adults who participate in this child's development, as they do for all children in the community. There is no stress or struggle. Imagine that. All people treat each other with respect and honor. Our empathic and telepathic skills allow us to tune into all living beings, hearing the messages of the natural world and feeling the hearts of all beings we come in contact with. The idea of any form of violence, whether physical, social, or emotional, is beyond conception. Sexual energy is never distorted or used in any way to harm another, but rather flows in a healthy, sacred manner between those who love and are attracted to each other. All races and cultures are honored and appreciated, both for their unique contribution and for how they are all holding unique pieces of ourselves through our differences. The concept of war has become absurd. There's nothing to fight for. Everyone understands that violence only begets violence, and that there are plenty of resources to meet the needs of all. People are totally free and honored to express their gender fluidity, their sexual orientation. All differences are understood as simply variations of the experience of being in a human body. We have ascended far beyond any fear of not fitting into prescribed roles of any sort. Creativity and originality are celebrated. There is no conformity, since all 5D humans are in their full authenticity, and like snowflakes, each authentic expression will be different. All materials used on this new manifestation of our planet are aligned with Mother Earth and are biodegradable in a way that feeds rather than depletes her. All living beings on the planet are understood and honored for the role they play in keeping all of nature in balance. There is beauty everywhere. Both the beauty of the natural world, which has begun to return to its pristine elegance, and beauty created through art. All art forms thrive as each human tunes into their particular gifts. Whether to write, make music, dance, act, direct a film, paint, sculpt, or use other art forms yet to be discovered. Disease has disappeared because all are living in balance within their own energy fields and the energy fields of the natural world. If disharmony in the fields occur, there are instruments to restore harmony and therefore full health. Since we're vibrating at a higher frequency, holding far more light in our cells, any healing or restoring balance that might be necessary will use frequency to shift things on a cellular level. As we all walk together on our beautiful planet, we are intricately connected to the sacredness of all beings and of all things. Spirituality is no longer separate from our daily life, but rather integral to it. So just go ahead and breathe into that. How would you like to be in that world? Can you envision yourself in that world? Can you create that world with me and with the rest of our 5D team? Will you? Will you open to that joy? Will you move through those emotional wounds? It's one of the things that I don't have time to speak of today, but we have to, in order to fully open the portals of our fifth dimensional being, we have to clear our emotional field. And because of trauma, both personal and collective, we all have work to do there. Most of you, many of you certainly have started that process. It doesn't have to be a forever process. Let me put it differently. Healing the old wounds to the point where they don't get in the way, where the emotional body clears. And then whatever else arises, you have tools and know how to use those to keep that field clear. And as we do that, we more and more and more and more will be vibrating at that fifth dimensional frequency. And more and more and more and more of us will join the team. And that's when we begin to see this in our institutions, in our policies. They may take a while or not. Miracles happen all the time. But this is how we create it. So if I had you all here in person, I'd be asking you what your visions are. You might want to take a moment or two to just think about that. Do you want to alter my world? One thing I wanted to speak into, the ancient Egyptians used the Ankh, and I should have it by me, the symbol of the Ankh. It's in, well, I don't think I have it in my study. I have to go into another room. But it's a familiar symbol. You see it all the time in Egyptian art. And it actually was a tool that could be calibrated to everybody's individual frequency. And so if you're out of balance, somebody would come and they would use your Ankh, and the Ankh's energy would put you back into balance. And that's just one of the small concepts of what healing is like on our fifth dimensional planet. So again, just breathe into that. Just know this is possible. This is close at hand as long as we create it together. As long as we, and first we create it inside ourselves, right? Okay, so the final thing I'm going to do is a little bit more of a meditation. And this is called Creating the Golden World, the Golden Age of Us. So again, it's another image that came through me of a fifth dimensional planet. The more we can hold those images, the closer we get to not just seeing it in ourselves and in seeing it in our life. Because as we clear it within ourselves, our life immediately clears. But to see it collectively on our planet. And that's, again, that is our responsibility. It is a sacred contract that all of us who are waking up know. We have a contribution, and even if we're scared, even if it's overwhelming, ask for your spirit's guides to help you, and do it anyway. Okay. All right, experiencing the golden age of us. And for this, I do want you to close your eyes and begin to focus on the breath. On the exhale, releasing any distractions, release any of those thoughts now. Release any concerns. Just allow that to all flow out with your breath. And on the inhale, imagine drawing in tiny golden spirals of light filled with love and consciousness. And allow those spirals to radiate through every cell in your body. Just feel it. Feel yourself more and more in your 5D consciousness. Allow your heart to open wider and wider still, generating deep levels of love. Feel that energy of love. Bathe yourself in it. Send it out to the world. The prophecies have manifested. We walk together hand in hand upon the new earth. The old beliefs of lack and limitation have fallen away. Our planet is now teeming with loving, spiritually awake people. We are everywhere. The animals welcome us. The birds sing us new songs. The clean, chemically free air oxygenates us, oxygenates our cells in a whole new way. The vibrancy we feel, a whole new way. Imagine the utter state of relaxation. We're always in a state of ease. There's nothing to be feared. All our energies are put into creating more beauty and more consciousness, into finding new ways of organizing our resources, new ways of educating ourselves and our children, new ways of creating family, new ways of growing food. We are flooded with a sense of physical well-being. As we walk through life in this consciousness, we begin to experience new visions. Visions for expanding love, for expanding comfort, for helping all consciousness in the universe move into higher and higher frequencies. Our own senses have expanded beyond our wildest dreams. We have come to the point where we no longer feel separate from any part of creation. Everywhere we go, we hear singing and laughter. People sing to the crops for them to grow larger and healthier and provide us with more nourishment. People sing to the waters for them to flow freely and pristinely once again. New forms of architecture are springing into being through collective visioning. Beauty is everywhere. Children run by. They are all strong and radiant. They are in full delight in all the wondrous creations before them. They are in full delight of themselves and of all in their group. Their teachers run to catch up with them, both physically, because this newest generation has gifts of strength and speed that have not been seen before, and intellectually, because the wisdom coming through these young people has far surpassed the generations that have come before. Young lovers walk together in all variations of gender configurations. Spontaneous theater and performances spring up all around to delight those passing by. The weather no longer has extremes. The sun shines upon the land. The oceans are filled with dolphins and whales and other colorful sea life who exult in the movement of the tides. The gentle rains come just when needed to continuously provide fresh water for all on the planet. Life is thriving everywhere, and the transformation to a 5D world is now complete. So I ask you to hold that vision. Make it your own, modify it, but hold it for all of us. Thank you so much for joining me. And it looks like I'm the last presenter in the summit, and Abigail will come on next with what I'm sure will be an incredibly beautiful closing ceremony. I was there for her opening ceremony. She has been, I've just connected with her, I think, in the last couple of weeks. And what a delight to meet this amazing young woman. So I send you all love. I send you all motivation, inspiration, I hope, to hold these visions, to create 5D in yourself, in your lives, and then for the collective. Much love to you.